What you see here is a hard quant question. This was a part of the official guides. It has been a part for many years. Now, what is very special about this one is that although it's not at the 805 plus level, this is 705 to 805, but the time that people take on this question is huge. Look at this data here, 3 minutes 24 seconds on average to get this correct, and 341 on average to get this wrong. Now, you see, the accuracy is not so bad. We've seen some questions here in this series and in the DI series where the accuracy was way lower. Here, even though the accuracy is decent, the timing is not. So, this told me that there is something really wrong in the way we're approaching this, or let's just say something very inefficient. So, in this video, we're going to talk about what the inefficient method is, what the efficient method is, what is it that you need to learn. Hi, I'm Shweta Koshija. I have been mentoring students for GMAT GRE Quant for over 11 years now, and I've started this series, Think Quant with Shweta and Think DI with Shweta, with the goal that I want you to learn how to think, how to approach questions the right way. Let's not make this about doing 10 concepts and then doing 10,000 questions. Let's make this about quality where every single question makes you better. With that, let's enter this one. So, whatever be the approach, of course, we have to first read the question. We have to understand what is given. Only then do we even decide how to solve it, right? So, here, what is this about? It's about a photography dealer who ordered 60 cameras to be sold for 250 each, so selling price, which represents a 20% markup over the dealer's initial cost. So, he's selling them for a profit. If the initial cost is, say, C, then the dealer is selling for 1.2C. And that actually tells me that 1.2C is equal to 250. I can find C from here. Then it says of the cameras ordered of these 60, 6 were never sold and they were just returned to the manufacturer for a refund of 50% of the dealer's initial cost. So that means out of 60, 54 were sold and these 6 were returned. Now, the ones that were sold, of course, they brought in some money. The selling price was 250, remember, per piece. Here, the ones that were returned, they got you some refund, which was 50% of the initial cost. So, this is 0.5 of C because I've taken the initial cost to be C. Now, after all of this transaction, the question says what was the dealer's approximate profit or loss as a percent of the dealer's initial cost for the 60 cameras. So the way people would think is that, okay, as a percent of the total cost, so total cost for, all 60 cameras comes in the denominator, and whatever profit or loss is happening, that comes in the numerator, and we have to multiply that by 100, right? And then everyone would start to try to find the profit or the loss, for which you need to know the total revenue, the total cost, and then you get the difference between those. To be able to find the total revenue, you will need to multiply this 250 with 54. And of course, you're also getting some money back here. You can reduce it from your cost, or you can think this as a part of your revenue. Either just do 0.5C times 6, which is 3C, either reduce your cost by that much or increase your revenue by that much. Both ways, the result in the numerator, which is profit loss, will be the same because you're just doing revenue minus cost, right? Now, then you would find all of those, you would do all of those calculations, and in the denominator, you would have 60C and then times 100. Now, this is a lot to calculate, and this is where everybody wastes time. I'm sure a lot of you watching the video also followed this very approach. If you still want to know how this one works, just drop a comment below. I'll be happy to make a follow-up video where I show you this also to completion. That if somebody does get stuck in these calculations, then at least how to do them efficiently, how not to get caught in too much of calculation. But now, what is our goal? To do it efficiently. And this entire approach, unfortunately, is not efficient even with efficient calculations that I can tell you about. What you need to understand here is the connection with weighted average. If only you see that connection here, this is going to be a super quick question. Identify any kind of mixing in your question and start thinking about weighted average. For example, what am I mixing here? I am mixing two situations. I am mixing a 20% profit situation with a certain loss. Loss in the sense that I'm only getting 50% refund, right? I can say that I made a loss on those six cameras because I sold them for just half of what I paid. So I am mixing two situations and I want to know what is the resultant of this. Now, these are the individual values with their own weights. Call them individual averages. What is the weight? This 20% profit you have on 54 cameras, the 50% loss you have on six cameras. So you have your weights, you have your averages. How does weighted average work now? You simply do 54 times this 20%, which is zero point 0.2, plus 6 times this negative zero point 0.5 divided by the total weight, which is 60. Let's see what this comes out to. 54 times 2 is 108, but there's a decimal, so 10.8 minus 3 over 60. This is 7.8 over 60. Remember, I want it as a percentage, so I'll ultimately convert. What do I see now? Oh, 6 ones are 6 and 6 13s are 78. So 13 over 100, that's a clean 13%. Now, when I come to my choices, oh, I do see 13%, but I see it in two places: 13% profit or loss. What do you think will have more impact here? Will I have a profit or a loss based on all of this happening? Should I be guessing something like this? No, you already took negative 50 to show the loss. The final value you got was positive. You don't have to restart your entire thinking process. Positive means it's a profit. So the correct answer here is choice D. Without having to find any individual revenue, any total cost, then the difference, then the percentage. So, this is the difference that weighted average can create wherever it is relevant. On all those questions where weighted average is applicable, you can really find big differences in these two approaches in terms of the time they take. I hope all of you see the value of this single concept in decomplicating something like this. If you have any questions, feel free to post them below. I'd be happy to help. Till then, I wish you a happy learning. Let's all do it right.